Hi, my name is Lyndi Howard. I'm a Boston-based employee crew member as well as the chair for our TW Ambassador Program, TAP for short. The TAP committee wanted to give the membership a video briefly explaining the grievance procedure, what it is and why it's important versus what we have now, which is the peer observer program. So with me today, I've got Tracy Erazo, who's a JFK-based employee crew member. I've also got Pablo Montero, who's also a JFK-based employee crew member. They are our acting Grievance Committee and also trained peer observers. So off the top, what is our peer observer program and how does it work?
The peer observer program is something that we were able to get the company to agree to via an MOU, and it works. Basically, people put in requests via the TW website, and all the volunteers will get an email with that request, and whoever volunteers to sit in on this meeting will get in contact with the crew member. And how it works is you get to sit in there with them and take notes and be there for moral support, basically. That's about it.
So that seems pretty limited.
It's extremely limited and frustrating because there's plenty of times where you wish you could speak on their behalf, or maybe tell them, hey, you know what, let's take a break, or we need to research, we need to look back on this. There's a lot of different things that come up during the meeting, and nerves set in, and inexperience unfortunately sets in, and they freeze up or whatever, and so we're not allowed to speak. So there's not much we can do at that point.
So when we ratify our first contract, how does that change, Tracy?
A grievance procedure is a formal, it's a legal procedure, and it's backed by our contract. So there will be accountability from the company to actually to respond to these grievances, and a grievance rep can walk in with a crew member, and they're not silenced from the moment they walk in the office. They're actually on equal footing with management, and they're able to ask questions and to speak. And there's accountability on both sides here. There's the company who has to provide their documentation, where as it stands today, we can't even ask for anything in terms of the crew member's case. We basically, like Pablo was saying, silenced from the moment we walk in. So the grievance procedure is there will always be an outcome if the grievance is won in favor of the crew member. Right now, it's a fly now and deal, where once we have grievance, it will be fly now and wait later and possibly win.
So in context of a contract and how that works, just as I'm interpreting what you're saying, is the contract is a legally binding document, and right. The grievance procedure is how we enforce that.
Right.
From my understanding, there's two different kinds of grievances, right? There's
right.
the disciplinary and a non-disciplinary. What are the differences between those two?
Well, non-disciplinary could be a violation of the contract. Retiming, we saw a lot this year. We saw a lot of now it's a lot of crew members who had fatigue calls reversed 5-6 months later.
Right.
And disciplinary could be anything attendance related or performance related, where you may be facing some kind of progressive guidance or something of the sort.
Right. Something that you said that I really actually was like, whoa, was that when we have the grievance procedure, the union rep is on equal footing with management.
Correct.
So that's really creating some solid accountability on both sides. When we're talking about the context of the contract as well, there's set timelines and parameters that are existing within that codified language.
Correct.
So the way I'm understanding it is we can kind of say goodbye to open-ended investigations that just go on for an unspecified amount of time.
As it stands right now, an investigation can be wrapped up in a day, or it can be wrapped up 3-4 weeks from now with no contact from company to crew member. So
No
at that
pay.
point, no pay, and they're kind of left in the dark, and they're bound by confidentiality. And once we have a grievance procedure, you are allowed as a crew member to contact your union representatives and have dialogue with them. Whereas right now, once you break that confidentiality agreement, you're subject to termination just for that alone. So this kind of gives us a lot more. It's much more encompassing, and like you said, the whole equal footing with management basically means that when you walk in there, you're not silenced from the moment you walk in. you can ask questions, you can speak on behalf of your group.
So something somebody said to me a long time ago was we kind of teach people how to treat us. So in a way, using this grievance procedure over time is going to teach the company how they can and cannot treat us, because grievances, when we file them, they set precedents, and they also get pretty expensive pretty quickly.
Right.
So the company's onus would be, or not onus, but the company's motivation would be that they're going to try to
Follow the contract.
so to
Right.
avoid a lot of expense and time.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, and there's a lot of grievances that get settled with management before they even escalate to the next step. You know, there's 80% of them will never see arbitration, but the ones that do, they will set precedents, and those eventually will be incorporated into the contract as
Right.
an
So
MOU or
yeah, when we set a precedent, basically what would happen is it would be kind of like a side letter, a letter of agreement, or what's called an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, that it gets attached to the end of the contract. And when we go back into negotiations, 9 times out of 10, those LOAs or MOUs get incorporated into the contract, therefore setting that precedent and then building upon that strong foundational contract that we built the first time.
Right.
Yes.
I like to say it's similar to our info notices. You know, you get an info notice and you follow that, but it becomes part of the FAM, you know, as it gets revised. And this is sort of like a similar such situation.
Yes. So we're building on that.
But yeah,
Right.
contract is a living document, and it's always going to evolve, and it benefits us that it's as such.
Right, and I just want, I can't overstate the importance of having this grievance procedure versus what we have right now. This, again, and we've been here a long time. We helped build this company, and we've outlasted a lot of our management, right? We're the basis of this company, and to keep us all around as long as possible, the grievance procedure is something that just means that we have that backing of our contract, and we can't just be fired. It's the elimination of at will.
Right. I mean, how many crew members have been model employees from day one, and then all of a sudden they have one slip up or something that the company finds to be a fireable offense, which could have been maybe a coachable moment or a lower level of PG, but I feel that with the grievance process, we'd be able to mitigate some of these egregious terminations that have been occurring lately, or at least getting them to a lower level of discipline and final PG or termination right off
It's
the bat.
also a way to get the punishments to fit the crime, basically, and
Right.
to make it, you know, standard across the board. Not,
Right.
oh, I like this guy, so let's let him slide with this, but the next person, you know, may not be so lucky. That's going to be one of the things that gets eliminated. You know, it's going to be fair.
Yeah, we'll have a level playing field finally, which we never had, so.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking about this. Do you have any final thoughts?
I just think that if you've never been in a union before, if you don't know how a grievance procedure works, do your homework, and you'll realize how important it really is. It's the backbone of a contract, and it's definitely it's definitely important. We need it.
It's important to educate yourself too, once we do get our contract, to become well versed in it, to understand it, and if you have any questions, to always reach out to one of your union reps.
Get involved.
Get involved.